This is our content, sponsored by Geographics Media.
Jay, I forgot to tell you something, bro.
What's up?
I was speaking to a friend of ours the other day, and we were talking about one of our previous episodes, and he revealed to me that you were actually in a high speed chase with the cops, man.
No, it wasn't high speed.
It was a chase.
Yeah.
Why? We've had a few episodes where we've discussed this thing, and now
I'm a liar. Barely feel remorse. I'm a cheater. Letting my nature take its course.
Let's go.
Who are you, bruh?
I'm Big J.
I'm Step, Cyncere Wizdumb, the energetic, confused enigma from E-Town, trying to figure out who I'm talking to. Big J the artist, the high-speed chase having hooligan, apparently.
That wasn't no high speed chase. Whoever said stuff need to say the whole story and stop lying on me or hating on me.
They told the truth. They told the truth. It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
No, they did. No, they did. I can already tell they did. Just by how you act.
I know. Here we go again. With the third installment, Melodious Catalyst Part 3, and we starting out laughing at Big J. I'm buckling my seatbelt because hanging out with you is becoming more and more apparent that I need to practice riding safely, literally and figuratively. Seriously. So what's on your mind, man?
Yeah, man. We mostly been talking about music and its influences on us through the years, and I think that where we're going now is more or less how music can affect others. From my experience, yeah, I've seen where music can affect you. It can have an influence on your lifestyle, your decisions, where you spend your money, where you spend your time, who you spend it with, and how you do things, how you dress, how you just how you think, and how you respond to the world around you. And music can be a big influencer of all those things and even more things. It can be a factor in what you accept from other people, your treatment of how other people will treat you, how you present yourself to the world.
Right.
And music can really do that. And that's why with me, as much as I love music, I still put it in its place because I realize that music is a really heavy thing, and that being an artistically inclined person, I'm music and just certain stimuli like that. It tends to affect me in a way where it stays on me for a while. So I have to be really careful about what I'm listening to and like to me, what I'm listening to is equally as important as who I'm around, and who I talk to. It's as important to me. So I understand that it's a spiritual exchange when we listen to music, and it's very powerful. So but yeah, I remember. I guess I'll talk about like when people when all right, say when we were in high school. I was in high school my senior year. I remember that was the year that G Thing came out, and the video came out, and I remember coming back to school in chemistry class. I remember sitting in class and uh, me and one of my classmates, he was like, "Man, I know you saw that video that came on Yo MTV Raps, because that was the thing.
That was the thing.
We would
That was the
all run
thing.
home. We would all run home and watch that
Right.
after school. I'm talking about everybody. The shows back then that everyone watched, or at least everyone in our circle that I knew of watched after school or just during the week period, was Yo MTV Raps, like immediately after school, like was at 4 or 5 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
and Thursday nights was Cosby night.
Correct.
Cosby show A Different World.
Different world. Correct.
Yeah, and then I think Living Single came on like Friday or something like that, and
Sunday.
Sunday. So
Yeah.
yeah, so those were the shows that I remember that people just watched and always came back and gave a report about it, or just what they saw, what they interpret about it, and so yeah, I remember us talking about that. But then I remember like after that, maybe weeks, months later, um, I just remember other people in general started kind of looking like how Snoop and Dre and them looked in the video. They would have parties. I remember folks would have like backyard barbecue parties, and they would just let the Chronic just play. They would just let it play.
Right.
Folks wasn't playing DJ. They were just over there just putting on a CD and just letting it play from beginning to end. And I just remember seeing people leaning on their cars, drinking 40s, and
Gin and juice.
yeah, and
Gin and juice.
trying to look and
Yeah.
act like that, adopting the speak lingo that they were speaking, in those albums. And I'm like, first of all, we're in Northeast Georgia, so you had people walking around with rags and all that kind of stuff, the bandanas and all that. And I'm like, okay, well, I understand if somebody is from that area where all that kind of stuff is going on, but this is not even our culture. So we're as a whole, people were just pretending they were playing, and I mean, but people were just jumping on that, and it was something that was really, really dark but very powerful about that music. So I understand the grip that it can have on people, and it wasn't just the music; it was the videos, and the videos always seemed like they were having fun. They had the cars bouncing. They had scenes where they were in house parties, and the house parties were very lit. People were, you had certain people that you hadn't seen in a long time, celebrities there, rappers, that you may not have seen or saw on something else that were popular, will pop up and show in these videos. So it was like a chain. It's like it had all these different links that were holding it together and giving it strength, and it was fortifying itself in the minds of teenagers and young 20-something-year-olds, and it had a foothold in neighborhoods, at least neighborhoods that I saw and experienced growing up, and 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 the thing about it is that kind of stuff spread like wildfire. When it hit, it spread, and it's still here now. It's still going on, and there was a time before that, where it hit too, with some of the same people that were involved, in that. But I will say that it was something that I did see, uh, especially when you have like young, uh, testosterone filled teenagers who are just, getting into girls or getting into what they think their identity is, and it can help mold and shape that. And just a few years before that, we had self destruction and stuff like that. Where it was more about honing your craft and your art, and also it was celebrated to learn about your history and help determine where your trajectory in the future would be. We had X Clan and groups like that. Shout out to X Clan. which was a heavy influence on us. I
Right.
remember you used to dance to a funkin' lesson in
No, I didn't. No. Did I?
yes you did.
I would dance. I would
Don't
dance
put,
into. I would dance in the G thing like a mug.
you was dancing the funkin' lesson too when we were in band class.
Hey, I'm just sitting here listening to you and thinking about that point in time, and I think that um, I think a lot of the artists back then, at that time was just telling a lot of time were telling stories about their their upbringing and what the kind of stuff that they've been through, but they made it kind of cool in some instances. Um, but I think that perception is reality. Excuse me, perception is reality to a lot of people perceiving it. And I think what has happened is now a lot of people have have how do I put it? They've taken on these pseudo personas in certain instances and running with it in a way that just makes it the connotation so negative to the point where it's beginning to poison society versus enriching it in a lot of cases. We heard the same music, we enjoyed the same music. I danced real hard to G thing at that one party. I walked in there and did a move and was having a great time. I still love that song. I still love that album, by the way.
That's a
But
hard song to dance to me because it's more just like a rock lean.
it's a rock. It's a smooth song, and
Yeah.
so I think that my favorite song on the album was "Little Ghetto Boy." I listened to it the other day. It just sonically is just Chronic's a masterpiece, man. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that in a lot of cases, bro, certain people just never find their way, and I talked about it last week prior to me really hanging out with you guys and just learning how to be creative and just learning how to be, well, not learning how, but accepting the fact that I was a misfit and just different. Prior to that, a lot of times whatever was popular, whatever I thought was popular, I would kind of lean that way. And I think in a lot of instances, that's what it is now. People just lean to what they think is popular. They lean to what they think is going to make them cool. That's why a lot of people, I think, in certain situations try to take on the identity of some of these artists that they listen to, knowing good and doggone well they are not that person. They are not that guy. I do think that there is a lot of responsibility to artists to try to um they have a responsibility to understand how their art affects certain people. That's a lot that I just said, but I think you have to be responsible. Even with what we're doing now with our content, we are very, very careful about things that we say and how we say certain things. Number one, because we don't want people to think that we're coming after them. We don't want, number two, we don't want people to say, hey, they're mean spirited, but they talking about they're positive, because we are positive. So we try to be careful about how we put certain messages out there, because people take this stuff in, and certain things have a strong effect. They have a strong effect on anybody that is, so-called weak-minded and looking for something to hold on to. We talk about it all the time. If you look for it, you're going to find it. You are going to find it. You're going to find it. So people tend to go towards what they value.
Mm-hmm.
What they value. What people go to what they value. And I think as people mature, not age-wise, but their mindset matures, they start valuing different things, therefore taking on different things. We never get tired of talking about how the music that we listen to molded us, because we grew up on music that made us strive to be smarter. It made us want to read books. It made us want to be the smart guys, but we also knew how to handle being the misfits through it too.
Yeah,
Other
well,
kids,
I think a lot of that music was just reflective of who we already were. I
right,
I think that's why some of the other stuff didn't really influence us that much, because at our core that wasn't who we were or are. So I think we kind of were able to hear some of that other stuff and just kind of it would be entertaining, but it wouldn't it wasn't something that we took that serious, you know. Whereas because I think we had already had a group of guys who were kind of supporting each other in just being productive, excelling at life, whether it's education, whether it's in your community, whether it's in class, school, just whatever.
right,
Some level of excellence at something or some things. So I don't think we really got too caught up into that, and we were kind of able to see it for what it was, and just just shrug it off and just keep it moving. But take it for its entertainment value,
right.
and the dance and all that kind of stuff, and whatever you was doing, dance to it, and 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 then roll with it, and not make it such a part of, you know, not ingesting it to the point to where we try to add it to our lives as like or try to make it part of our personality, because it just wasn't. Uh,
Correct.
but also not just for me that it wasn't, but also because I could tell in some ways that the people who were rapping like this or talking like this or singing like this weren't really necessarily like that themselves. And
No,
and that's the thing. Like they weren't like that. So they were taking on a persona of either somebody that they knew, or somebody that they were just making up, or a mixture of different images. A lot of it was black exploitation characters and stuff like that. The pimps and the gangsters and all that kind of stuff. And that's why they sampled a lot of that stuff in their music. They were just pulling stuff from the 70s and 80s. Like the pimp movies from the 70s, and then the gangster movies from the 80s and 90s, like Colors and stuff like that. And so they were just pulling from that, but move forward into modern time now and hear these 40, 50-year-old men talking about this stuff, and you find out through Google, which wasn't available back then, when you look them up in Wikipedia and Google and stuff like that, and you find out that these guys, uh, had fathers in the household. They were protected guys. They weren't out there in the streets doing stuff like they would lead you to believe in their music. They were college educated guys. Some of them went to school on scholarships, and I'm not just talking sports scholarships. I'm talking about academic scholarships, and
right,
or they had relatives that were already in the music industry, and so their road to getting there wasn't as difficult, or as dangerous, as they would make it out to be, So I mean, but like I say, back then that stuff wasn't. The research tools weren't available like they are now. So you had guys whose mom may have been a nurse or something like that, and they lived in a nice place, and they talk about growing up rough and hard and all that. And not to say they didn't see it, but just to say in their home, in their circle where they were at, that just was not their experience. So it's like they could have talked about a
good stuff.
myriad of things. They could have chosen to speak about, rap about, make songs about a whole lot of different topics, but they chose that because they know, just like the black exploitation movies that we watched growing up. Shout out to Rudy Ray Moore, and uh, yeah, but they took those elements and they were like, okay, well, I already know that this sells, and it's just funny, it's entertaining, so I'm just gonna roll with that. And they took on a character and it's just the unfortunate part is where that character runs into real life, and there are people out there who want this person to prove that they're that person when they're not, and that's when dangerous situations happen. Or
Yes.
you have people out there who are very misguided, and they don't have anyone to say, "Look, this is not who you are." You know, you can choose to be something other than that, and you can choose to be a productive person in society, and you can be a builder instead of a person who destroys. And but we don't always have that. You have some people out there who they're our age and they're still trying to figure themselves out, trying to find themselves. And people like that, they'll be heavily influenced by stuff their whole life because they're always jumping from
Correct.
one thing to the next. And you can kind of tell because they're always on something different. It'll be
Mm-hmm.
whatever is big at the time. That's what they're on, and so it's like, man, you take on a lot of fads and a lot of trends, and we're kind of past that age where we do that. But you have situations where some people are still doing that, and that just lets you know, But much love to everyone, even people who go through that type of thing. Much love to you. I hope and pray that you really realize that you are good enough just being who you are, and you don't have to take on all of that. It's you are worth way more to this world than what somebody can tell you that you are, that is putting out negative imagery or something that could be a danger to you. So just understand that you are worth way more than being in a perilous situation, and you just stay strong and hang in there, and God be with you.
That's real.
Hey, it's Jason Thomas, aka Big J. I just wanted to say thank you all for supporting our content. We put a lot of love and effort into what we do, and I just want to say thank you all who watch us, who support us. We appreciate you guys. Thank you. Peace.
Just looking back on it, some of the stuff that I've talked about or spoken about in different times that I've been asked to speak at certain functions about music or the power of or how music affects certain mindsets. I just never understood how I, I never understood how people could get so riled up. And we talked about this.
Yeah,
We watched people demeanors actually change
yeah,
depending on what they start taking in. Like you
yeah.
can find cats who are from, you know, certain areas and they never went outside in these certain areas, but they would
Right,
move to a different area and just rip the negative side of that area.
right,
And why are you doing that? It's just annoying. You got a 4.0 and not even college students. You work hard every day. You
mm-hmm.
you you are actually working. You're not in these streets. You've never been in these streets. Why are you trying so hard to be street when you're not?
Right,
I never got that. How, and people would take that type of music and run with it. And on the flip side of it all, you would have certain women that that would sing songs. He treats me bad. He cheats on me. He
mm-hmm.
doesn't do anything. He's not a provider. He's not a protector.
Yep,
He trying to set me out to his boys even.
mm-hmm.
But I love him, so I'm gonna stay.
Really, Step?
I never understood. So you got some little girl going through a breakup
Right,
with some dude who is treating her like complete and utter garbage.
right,
But my favorite artist loves him, so I love him too. It
right.
has a terrible effect on the on the weak minded to a certain degree, or even in I'm not going to even say the weak minded in a lot of cases. When people haven't grown to the point of loving themselves, they are easily be in a situation where somebody else's life becomes theirs, and
Yeah,
they'll imitate imitate that and then end up in a jacked up situation where they need counseling in the end, and or just a lot of times it's too late before they really figure it out, and you let a lifetime go by. So I never understood that, and it's not just hip hop, it's not just R&B. So you got a lot of the times the ugly stuff that people take into and gravitate towards, they carry that into the world, and that's not only musically, that's just in messaging period, whether music or different imaging or whatever people are taking in. A lot of the times they take it and run with it. So the melodious catalysts, sometimes those melodies and those rhythms that sound really, really good contain a message that can destroy people from the inside out, bruh. Yeah. That's word. I never understood it. I have these talks all the time, and I remember talking to young ladies, and I asked this young lady one time, she had been through it all, bruh. She had been through it all. She had been through all of this stuff, B. And I asked her, what did you want to do with your life? She's young, man. And she said, well, I wanted to be a stripper. Wow. Really? Brilliant kid, too. Brilliant kid. It didn't last long. She went out there and tried to do it. I mean, I'm talking about some real Ebony from Players Club type stuff, man. And wow. she quit. Now she has a beautiful life now. But why did you ever want to get into this? You from a good family? And she said to me, I used to listen to this, I used to listen to that, and that fast money. Gentlemen, we had a different type of fast money. And I think there's a correlation as to why it was out in the world at the same time. And in graduate school, I interviewed a few people that talked about how they, whatever got into their system, stayed there for a while, and they pursued certain things that did not have a good ending per se. So we'll see out there the few success stories out of it, but you don't see how many people have been destroyed from it. And so it's it's so easy to go down that road, bruh. It's so easy to go down these roads, but we have to be strong enough to know what is good for us and what is not. Right. And it's sad that certain things that we take in are so detrimental to not only ourselves, but to people who actually care about us, or to our community, to our families. Just it can be a big thing, and I see it so much. I see it so much now, man. When we were growing up, we thought Theo had a good life, but as we grew up and as certain things changed around us, it wasn't cool to be that. Bruh, our crew been laughed at. Y'all some nerds. Girls weren't checking for us, like, y'all some nerds. Y'all this, y'all that. And it's all good. We are not mad at any of that at all. At all. But I think it's a testament, looking back at it now, it's a testament to how we just kind of stood our ground and did not allow ourselves to be manipulated by the so-called popular culture, if you will. And I think that the so-called popular culture manipulates a lot of juvenile minds to a certain degree, and even adults. Adults are falling to it more so now than children are, to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, behind all of the artists that put a lot of this stuff out, even though their ages get, they match the youth, every season when it comes out. Right. So they're handpicked, but they're handpicked by people that are much older than them and who are behind the scenes, making it happen. Music executives and stuff like that. They're known to be, much older than them. They're older to be their parents and grandparents, and in some instances. So it's an industry that is ran by grown people. So it's no surprise that there will still be grown people who are really into that, because you have grown people who are releasing this information to the masses. Hip hop is has been a young person's game for a very long time, so it's kind of pushed towards. Well, I say rap is pushed towards the youth. Is something where that culture doesn't really accept growing old. It fights it really hard. With age, there should be some level of wisdom through
And
experience.
maturity.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
maturity.
Even if it comes from just messing up, that you got to learn something from it. But that music, art form, doesn't like to, especially when it's the pop version of it. It does not like to a lot for any growth or any maturity. It likes to stay wild, and it likes to keep that type of energy going. Um, Not gonna get into what my reasons to why I think that is so, because that's a whole nother
This
episode.
whole yeah.
But it is what it is. But like I say, the thing about music is it's all encompassing. That's the thing about music is it has it all within it. There can be something that can influence you in such a positive way and be transformative in your life, or it could be something that can influence you to do something negative. The thing is, what are you going to choose? What are you going to choose to roll with? And the music can be a soundtrack to it, but it doesn't have to guide you in that direction. So we gotta understand that people are raised a certain way, or not raised a certain way, or not raised at all, and that has a big influence on it too. But one thing I know, in our homes, there's always some music playing. Uh, just keeping it real, black folks, we some musical people, and we're some celebratory people. We like to celebrate. We like to get our dance on. We like to clap, praise, worship. So what are you worshiping? What are you worshiping? What are you giving your energy to? Because there's only two things you can give it to.
Right. And with that being said, I think a lot of times like I said earlier, is what people value. It's the stuff
Right.
that they value. So a lot of the it wasn't so much a lot of times the artists put stuff out, they're entertaining, they're telling their stories. This is where we live, this is our culture, this is what we see. But
Mm-hmm.
where we're from, um and not only where we're from, but a lot of people where they from, they might not ever get a chance to see any of that stuff. So they take a ride, mentally into these places, and that's what they get stuck. It sticks to their spirit like that. It
Mm-hmm.
it really does, and it's a it's a situation where you have to know when to say when. You have to know when to say when. And I'm glad that we were the type of people that um gravitated towards what because we would listen to all this stuff, and we was all about the lyrics. We were
How you
all
put it
about
together?
how you put it together, the wordplay. Oh
Yep.
man, it was all about that to us,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to this day, I don't want to hear music about me getting knocked out and my girl giving cocaine and all this,
Yeah.
all that stuff,
Yeah.
that these people talk about now, and that's just R&B. You know what
Right. Right.
I'm
Those
saying?
gangster R&B.
Yeah, girl, I love you. I want to choke you out. You know what I'm saying?
I love you like I love the streets.
I love you like I love this dope. But yeah, they're just. I mean, and it's and the way we doing now is how we did then. Stuff would be just funny
Yeah.
because we couldn't relate to a lot of that stuff. And
Yeah.
some of it, the wordplay was just so funny and timeless that we
Yeah.
still love it to this day. But
Yeah.
you had those people, man, you heard that? Man, let me go. Let me stop. I know people who listen to a lot of that stuff, Jay,
Yeah.
and they were afraid to try to do anything outside of where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
They scared. It's people. You get it now. When people be like asking you where you at, you be like, I live here. I'm in Atlanta. I'm here, and people give you this look like, really? Ain't it crazy up there? You know.
I hope they'll look like that. It looked
Hey,
horrified.
a lot of them look horrified for real, B. For real. I've like
Yeah.
like so I've seen that before, and it's because a lot of times people haven't taken the time to. People are literally they take this stuff in, and sometimes they're afraid to take chances in life because
Mhm.
it might involve them going to certain places that they've only heard about or heard songs from, or and they just get stuck.
Right.
That's not and honestly, that's not the artist's fault at all. Some people just try to find an excuse to not do anyway.
They're right. It doesn't matter what it's going to be.
Right,
They're just afraid of trying to grasp anything in this life or trying
right,
to do anything. They stuck being complacent. That's all that
right.
is.
It's what people value, bro.
Yeah.
Is what people value, number one. Ooh, and the other thing that people try to take from certain music is
Mm-hmm.
status.
Yeah.
It's status. It is
Mm-hmm.
status. So if I can take on this particular lifestyle and
Mm-hmm.
imitate what these people are doing, people will think I'm cool. I'm going to get status. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be the coolest cat on the block. I'm going to get all the girls.
Yeah.
Status.
Or they want somebody to think that they're just hard, hardened individual that's just super tough, and it's like a machismo thing. They just.
Mhm.
But it's when a person does all of that, that just shows that there's something that they're overcompensating for. There's a lack of confidence or something going on with them, or just a lack of freaking sense when you do stuff like that, because that's just a bit much. But I mean, that's some old Wyatt Earp, I'm the new sheriff in town, James Gang, James Boys, Billy the Kid kind of stuff.
There's also a very thin line between self-love and self-hate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I found that self-hate, when a lot of the times when people don't know who they are and they don't like who they are, they
Mm-hmm.
will attach to whatever sounds closest to where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Yeah.
is the most dangerous thing that someone can do, is let
Mm-hmm.
someone else define who they are.
Right.
You got anything else, my guy? I think we
Well,
need to end it on that note.
hey man, sounds good to me, bro.
You can get to youtube.com/at Our Content Podcast, Apple Podcast, Our Content Podcast, Spotify, Our Content Podcast, X, formerly Twitter, Our Content Pod, and as of recently,
Mm-hmm.
TikTok.com/at Our Content Podcast. So if that's it, Big J, Step, aka Cyncere Wizdumb, we're gonna sign off. Continue to keep God first, love each other, and we'll see you next go around. Peace.